What's up, folks? I'm Dave Underkoffler, editor-in-chief of Autolist.com, and this week's one-week test drive is of the 2022 Lexus LX600. This is a full-size luxury SUV with either 2 rows of seats or 3 rows of seats. It competes against other SUVs like the Mercedes-Benz GLS, the BMW X7, the Range Rover, or the Cadillac Escalade. It has a 3.5-liter twin-turbocharged V6 engine that makes 409 horsepower. It also has a 10-speed automatic transmission and full-time 4-wheel drive. It starts at about $87,000 for a base model, but we're testing a fully loaded ultra luxury version with a sticker of 128 grand. So let's go spend a week with it and tell you what we think. All right, let's take a look at the exterior of the LX600. You can see the design is a little cleaner now, a little more refined than the previous version. This grille is still very prominent, but a little more cleanly integrated. This is either you'll live with it or you don't like it. I don't think anyone actually loves this grille, but it looks better in this version. The color we have here is a nori green pearl. It's kind of a nice color. And as I mentioned, this is the ultra luxury package. So it's fully loaded, but most LX models are going to look just like this in the exterior. There's not a lot to separate them. The only exception to that would be the F Sport, and here's what the F Sport looks like. You can see it's a little more aggressive. That's their sport version, obviously. And then back to this. So this has 22-inch alloy wheels. Other trims also have 22-inch wheels. And then base models will come with 20-inch. Around the back, you can see Lexus is using that sort of horizontal light bar on a number of their vehicles now, so this has that as well. Size-wise, this is basically the same as the previous LX, the 570. So not a lot of dimension changes there. One thing they did change though, let me show you. When this tailgate opens, it's a traditional tailgate now, right? The whole thing just swings up. Previous LX models, if you owned one or ever drove one, you know that the bottom third of that tailgate would fold down and then the top 2/3 would fold up. So you could sort of sit on that bottom third. It was a nice little bench. That's no longer the case, obviously. And then here's the inside. So again, this is the ultra premium version. So this has 4 seats only, but there's the cargo area. You can get this in either a 5-passenger or a 7-passenger configuration. So there would be seats for here. That would really, not a lot of space for adults, but they would work for kids if you need them in a pinch. So let's go look at the interior. All right, now to the interior, and there are some hits and misses inside the LX600. Some of the things I like, you've got a great screen here. This is 12.3 inches. It's an all-new touchscreen navigation infotainment system. There's no more controller down here or touchpad. So this is nice. This is a crisp, clear screen. It's very responsive to your touch. The layout is pretty intuitive, so that's good. It also has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. That's standard on all models, so you can see there's Apple CarPlay. Where it gets a little weird is that you've got this really nicely executed large screen up here and then a smaller, very different looking screen down here. This is where you would go to control some of the HVAC, some of the climate controls. You've got a touch screen here for the fan speed, but then you do have physical buttons for other features here. So I like that there are physical buttons, but this screen is just a bit of a disconnect from this screen. It's also not what you would expect on an $86,000 car going all the way up to the $128,000 that this particular trim costs. So that's a bit of a disconnect. I'd like that to be a little more tech forward. If you look at other models in this segment, the Cadillac Escalade, the Mercedes GLS, certainly the new Range Rover, they've got a better, more luxurious, more refined sort of approach to this. So a little bit of a miss in that regard. Another thing that's sort of throwing me off is that there are buttons just sort of scattered throughout the inside of this car. You've got some buttons here. You've got buttons kind of tucked under here for the heating and cooling of the seats. Over here, you've got random buttons. And there are also some other ergonomic issues that I don't love. This is going to sound small, but it's been really annoying me while I've been driving this car. The volume knob is sort of all the way up here. So that's kind of a reach, right? Like you're used to using all of these buttons. Many cars today are putting them down below, the volume knob down here. So this is a bit of a reach. That's a little weird. And then over here, when you go to open the door, the handle to open the door then is right in the way of opening the windows. So all these window switches are sort of tucked out of the way, but very hard to get to. So it's little misses like that that I don't love. And finally, while this does have a moonroof, it's not panoramic, right? This is, again, a very high-end luxury SUV, and many of its competitors will have these beautiful glass panoramic moonroofs. This one doesn't have that, so again, that's another miss inside this LX. All right, so you're probably wondering why this version of the LX is $128,000 when the base model is a relatively reasonable 86 grand. And really, most of it is about what's in the back seats here. So as you can tell, this passenger side seat is the best seat in the house. You can move the front seat up out of the way. It has this ottoman little footrest that'll fold down. This reclines quite a ways back. And it's really just first class travel back here. This is all controlled by this screen here. It's a touch screen. So you have independent climate control back here, separate from what's going on up front. You have your own audio controls, so you can listen to different music or play different movies or any sort of video input on those screens. These seats back here are heated and cooled as they are up front, but what these seats back here have that the front seats don't is massaging, right? A little weird that the front seats don't get it, but back here you have a variety of different massage types you can choose. That's pretty cool. You've got wireless charging right there, different storage compartments in there with more cell phone charging, and then your audio visual inputs there. So yeah, this is where the ultra luxury trim level really earns its stripes. It's pretty swanky. Not everyone's going to want this or need it, but it's kind of fun to play with. So there you have it. Let's go drive it. All right, so let's talk driving impressions. And we're gonna focus on-road driving impressions rather than off-road. I know the LX has phenomenal off-road capabilities. It always has, as has the Toyota Land Cruiser that this is based on. But the reality is no one really takes it into those situations. So we're gonna save you guys time. We're gonna do on-road. And it's a bit of a mixed bag in on-road driving. As I mentioned, this new LX has a 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6. It has 409 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. It replaces a V8 that had 26 fewer horsepower and 76 fewer pound-feet of torque. So you're getting more fuel economy and more power. This one has 4 miles per gallon better in city, highway, and combined. So it's 17 in the city, 22 in the highway, 19 combined. Now, we didn't quite get those numbers in real-world testing. I'll show you what we did later. But it's more power, and on paper, more fuel efficiency. That's a win-win. If you didn't know it and you were driving this car, you would think the V8 is still in it, and that's a really good compliment. There's lots of low-end torque here. We're going from a stop, lots of torque from a dead stop. That's really nice. Turbocharged. Sometimes you get a little bit of turbo lag, but not so in this. It's paired with a 10-speed automatic transmission and full-time four-wheel drive. That automatic transmission is up 2 speeds. The previous version was 8 speeds. And this one's really nice. It is refined, it's precise, it largely stays out of the way. There have been a few times where I go to floor it, just gun it, to pass somebody, and the transmission takes a few seconds or a few moments to sort of downshift through multiple gears. And that gets a little annoying. You kind of want that power right away. But generally, it's been a great transmission and we've really enjoyed it. So the main thing I don't like about the way this LX drives is the body roll. There's just too much of it when you go around a corner or around a turn. It's a big, heavy vehicle. It did lose some weight over the previous generation because now it uses a new platform. But still, it's just here. Let's go around a turn here. It just leans too much. It feels a little heavy and ponderous. I know it's hard to tell on camera, but yeah, I don't love that. Other vehicles in this segment will be a little more dialed in. They will allow less body roll while at the same time being just as comfortable on the road. So that's a bit of a miss in my eyes, but generally, yeah, this is a great vehicle to drive. All right, there you have it, our 1-week test drive of the 2022 Lexus LX600. I just did a quick fuel economy check and we were averaging about 14 miles per gallon over 300 miles of testing, and a lot of that was on the freeway. So clearly there's a bit of a disconnect between the gains that this new model makes on paper in terms of EPA fuel economy and the real world results. It's just about as thirsty as the previous V8, so that's just something to consider. Otherwise, this was a bit of a mixed bag. We really like the powertrain on this car. It's a lot of power, very comfortable, very quiet, very refined. We also like the reliability. Lexus has legendary reliability, and that's great to know in the back of your head as you buy this vehicle. And the comfort. This is a vehicle you could do a very long road trip in, so that's really nice. What didn't we like? Well, the interior, especially the screens, lacks a little bit of the sophistication we would expect on a luxury full-size SUV. We also didn't love the fact that there's not a lot of space, especially the third row. For adults, forget about it. It doesn't have the space as its competitors. And finally, that fuel economy, it's not great. So for the full review of this LX, or reviews or listings of anything else you're shopping for, be sure to check out autolist.com. And before you go, like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future videos. We'll see you out there, and I'm gonna go take a nap.